York Marathon was yesterday. Saw more than 55,000 runners participated, or as Fox News reported it, thousands flee New York ahead of Mamdani victory.
The Democrat Party's network propaganda apparatus is without bounds, without borders. Everywhere you go, every hour of the day. Who was that? ABC? NBC? NBC. The Democrats have a lot of advantages. There are 10,000 ways to cheat in the naked city, and the Democrats are probing each and every one of them with a blue latex glove and some lubricant. You know, they love probing. They love a good probe, especially an ever-expanding probe. And a very good Tuesday, November 4th, to you across the United States of America. In New York, where they're going to apparently elect a communist. But don't feel bad about that. He's also a jihadi who wants a global intifada. You know, to wipe out the Jews in Hong Kong and in the Philippines and wherever you may find them. Because the Democrat Party is really not what it used to be, but we've got that. We have a great many crazy and scary topics to discuss today, having to do with the state of New Jersey and the competitions, political competitions going on there in New Jersey. Got a nice Italian man. You see his son came home from Kuwait, an Army captain. Arrived, surprised his father yesterday at their neighborhood bar, Murph's Bar. A great moment. If you haven't seen the whole video is really great. The bartender announcing, "Yeah, we got something special," and it's a great moment because you know the Republican nominee is he's the guy, and then they have this fraud liar woman, and she's awful terrible in New Jersey as well. It is New Jersey, but they've got this, just like the nice Italian man with the son who's an Army officer. I think that's a pretty easy call. In New York City, of course, you've got a kind of a three-way going, not the usual New York three-way, but you've got the Democratic Socialist. They call him a Democratic Socialist. He's a socialist, and as one of his forebears, the Bolshevik revolutionary Vladimir Lenin said, Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, they all went by fake names. Lenin went by a fake name. Stalin went by a fake name. Hitler went by a fake name. They all had fake names. Hitler and his Socialist Workers' Party. But never mind that. They've got, I got to tell you, the Bolshevik there in New York, who's also a jihadi. You got to keep that in mind at all times, too. He reminds me of Lenin, who said the goal of socialism is communism. And this guy is a totalitarian. He's an authoritarian. He's everything that the Democrats call other people. And that's because it's the old Russian playbook that they're using. Accuse the other guy of what you know you are guilty of. Accuse the other guy of what you know you're about to do. And they go around calling everybody fascists and authoritarian and Nazis and everything because they know that at home they've got armbands and they're goose-stepping around, cross-dressing like lunatics from, what was that? Cabaret. That was one of your favorite movies, Cabaret? That's musicals with Nazis for 500. Isn't that a man? They got cross-dressing Nazis in that one, too. That's kind of weird. But we have the big New York mayoral competition. You got Gubernor, now former Governor, the Gropey McGropeface. And he's, Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo's brother is a Fanker man, wherever he is now. And his father was the governor, of course, before he was the governor. And, we got Hakeem Jeffries, who's a communist and a jihadi, too. The Democrat Party is really not on our side anymore. And they're running socialists for all over the country for mayor in Minneapolis and mayor in New York City. And where is that? Portland. They've got these socialists all over the place. They're not the Democratic Party anymore. They really aren't. But we've got a lot going on in Virginia, just across the mighty Potomac River from where we are now. If we were to peek out the window, we'd see the air traffic going up and down the Potomac River, not too far from this radio station. And in Virginia, they've got I even thought, and I talked to my best girl, she told me that's probably not a good idea. Come in and say, Hakeem Jeffries, I got to tell you, if if I were in a room with Hakeem Jeffries, and I had one handgun, let's say it's a revolver, and I had only two bullets, and there were, let's see, who was in the room? It was Hakeem Jeffries in the room with me, and then there's Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler walks in. They love this Adolf Hitler stuff. Adolf Hitler walks in, and Pol Pot, the communist mass murderer from Cambodia, and there's Adolf Hitler and Pol Pot, and then there's Hakeem Jeffries, and I had only two bullets, and I could say, well, you know, those two bullets both go into the head of Hakeem Jeffries, right? And Hitler lives and Pol Pot lives. Now, nobody in their right mind would ever say anything like that unless you're a Democrat candidate in Virginia and you want to be the chief law enforcement officer in the land of Thomas Jefferson. And isn't that amazing? The Democrat Party is not what it used to be. But Jay Jones, with his crazy, angry bloodlust, he's asking the voters of Virginia to make him the chief law enforcement officer. And you've already got a great chief law enforcement officer, Jason Miyares, and he's a great American. He comes from great stock. His parents fled communism in Cuba, and Barack Obama loves communism in Cuba. All the Democrats love communism in Cuba. They're not on our side at all. But this Jay Jones lunatic is running for the attorney general slot in Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and the Democrats are all going to go out and vote for him. Yeah, I like that guy that said he would pump rounds into the head of the Republican speaker in the State House in Richmond. I like that guy. And he'd let Hitler live and he'd let Pol Pot live, but if he had only two bullets, he'd use them to murder the Republican speaker, because that's where the Democrat Party is today. And got to keep in mind that Richmond, Virginia was the capital of the Confederate States of America during the American Civil War, which the Democrat Party launched because they wanted to keep their bullwhips and their slaves and their, the plantations, all that stuff. Isn't that amazing? But now they got Jay Jones, and he's a politician. He's a Democrat, and he wants to be chief law enforcement. And then, of course, you got Barack Obama campaigning in Virginia for the white lady running for governor. And isn't this amazing? The black lady running is the Republican lady, and Barack Obama is not voting for, not supporting, not endorsing the black woman who's an immigrant from Jamaica, even though a Democrat yelled at her in a crowd she should go back to Haiti, because the Democrat Party maybe they should go back to Haiti. Aren't they amazing? So Virginia is up for grabs. President Trump has jumped in on this one, too, on Virginia and beyond. And you got this guy. What's this guy's name? Mikey Sherrill? I know it's a woman. It might be a cross-dresser. Not entirely sure. But in New Jersey, the gubernatorial candidate, and she's saying, hey, vote for me, because I'll ruin this place. You think it's ruined now? Wait till I get done with it, because I am telling you, this Democrat Party is really out of control. But they're not on our side. I don't know how many times we have to go, but they're just not on our side, are they? No, they're not. And lots of elections, you know where you are and what's going on there today, hopefully. It's not just, and the news media, they cover New York and New Jersey and Virginia, and I might even be guilty of some of this myself, but there are elections in Minneapolis where they have a jihadi from Somalia. See, there's an Ilhan Omar was out campaigning for him. And she's out there. I think she had a machete and an AK-47. She comes from a nice family of communists out of Somalia, and they were thrown out of office by the people in Somalia. And that's when she fled with her family to a refugee camp and came to the United States. Were it not for the United States, there would be black scorpions crawling over her sun-bleached bones in the desert-blown sands of Somalia. And she's not a very grateful person, is she? No, she's not. But the Democrat Party is not what it used to be. A lot of people remember what the Democrat Party used to be, and she is she is not on the side of anything good. So we've got that going on. We are at 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625, and there's a lot going on. For example, in New Jersey, because the Democrats they're violent and dangerous, right? And We see that over and over again because they're just not on our side. And they're violent, and they shoot people, and they loot places and do all that stuff because they're Democrats. But we've got a lot going on. President Trump has weighed in, and this is quite good stuff. President Trump has weighed in on what do you call it? Truth Social. It's the Truth Social media thing, and it's strong. It's strong stuff. It's good stuff. And I've got what he is sharing for you, which I will bring to you as well. President Trump very busy on the lead up to Election Day today, and there are so many crazy things to get to. For example, in New Jersey, bomb threats have been reported at a handful, that means multiple, handful of polling places across New Jersey. That's across the state, right? And causing those in line to relocate or try again later today. And that's what is going on in New Jersey today because the Democrats are on the loose. A lot of them are on the loose. We also, you probably heard this now, but former Vice President of the United States, Dick Cheney, died. He died. He's had heart issues and a lot of health issues for a long, long time. But Dick Cheney died, and that is kind of a big deal as well. The Democrats, they've always hated in. I haven't gone online. Michael, have you gone online to look at all the hate coming out for Dick Cheney? Because you know how they always hated Dick Cheney, and now he's dead, and you know how they love death, and they love the hate. It's in order to hate the love, you got to love the hate, and that's where the Democrat Party is, because they're not on our side. They think of the bomb threats going there, and I got to tell you, a nice woman friend of mine who comes from a wonderful Marine Corps family texted me this morning, and she said that she is scheduled to be attending in the Commonwealth of Virginia to be attending a polling place, to be a polling place person, and she's already been warned. She's already been warned by the polling place people in Virginia that she should expect to be insulted and harassed by Democrats who are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome because, honestly, at this point, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again because it's true. The Democrats should be wearing uniforms at this point. They should be wearing uniforms with armbands and hobnailed boots so they can clop along on the cobblestone streets of Washington, D.C., and we can hear them coming from a distance. But nice woman, great Marine Corps family, said, going to be at a polling place on Election Day, that's today, told me to be prepared to be confronted by TDS victims, of course, Trump derangement syndrome, and I guess I'm looking forward to hear how that comes out. So in Virginia, the precinct captains and so on are warning the people at the polling places that you should expect the TDS lunatics to be harassing people. In New Jersey, they're already shutting down polling places because of all the bomb threats. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to leap to conclusions. I'm going to say that these are Republican-leaning polling places. Just my guess. I can't say that for sure, but we've got that going. It's Election Day in America, and the left is here. And they've got jihadis all over the place, too. Also, you see that Mamdani breaking news, and I believe that the great one, Mark Levin, talked about this last night on his award-winning radio program. Turns out CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, they've been lining up behind and organizing for and raising money for Mamdani in New York for a long, long time now. The jihad is home, and the Democrat Party is in bed with them, writhing around, bouncing up and down a bit. We remain at 888-630-9625. Now, here is, again, Dick Cheney died, former Vice President, Secretary of Defense, former member of the House of Representatives. And the headline, Newsweek magazine, got a lot of this. The headline is, Dick Cheney critics react to his death, quote, rest in hell, end quote. Now, this is the mainstream of the American news media, the popular news media, and they are a third world, vicious, partisan gang of Soviet-style hacks. Dick Cheney, the first three words on the headline are not Dick Cheney dies, but Dick Cheney critics. He died, and they immediately reached out to his critics, and they found someone to say, rest in hell, and that is in the headline. In the headline. I'm sure that when Barack Obama dies, it's going to be the same headline. Obama critics, reached by Newsweek, react to Obama's death, rest in hell. Find somebody to say that they put two bullets in his head like Jay Jones. And that's our news media. They're going to fire on Fort Sumter later this week. Let us go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Jay, calling from the Garden State of New Jersey. Jay, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Jay.
Election day, it has begun, and already, the Democrats are calling in bomb threats to, the polling locations.
Yep.
And they're going to stop at nothing. They know that the Republican turnout on Election day is the higher, that they're going to get most of those votes. And they think that people will think that this is, just like a foreign intervention when, it's obvious. And as it goes for Virginia, we're all talking about how Jay Jones is wishing the death of his political enemies and their children. Mm-hmm. But we have to realize that that's not only Jay Jones. Jay Jones is only dumb enough to say it out loud. They all believe that. It's all what they say in private. They are genocidal lunatics, and they want the deaths of all of us. So, if they're going to vote in Jason Miyares and, Abigail Spanberger also, that's a huge mistake, because Abigail Spanberger wants the same death and the same destruction, and that goes for Mikey Sherrill, it goes for Zohran Mamdani, and pretty much every Democrat, in the country.
Yeah, it's true. They're not liberals. They're so far to the left now that the Democrats in New York are about to elect a communist who is calling for a worldwide intifada, global intifada against the Jewish people everywhere. And you're right. It's election day is Republican turnout day, much heavier Republican turnout on election day than Democrat turnout on election day. And they have their mail-out ballots and their mail-in ballots and the ballot harvesting and for how many months before election day are they accumulating ballots? And you're right. You're talking about death. And here's again, Newsweek magazine, Dick Cheney, 8 years vice president, former secretary of defense, member of the House of Representatives. And the first words in the headline are Dick Cheney critics. Dick Cheney critics react to his death. Rest in hell. Yeah, the Newsweek magazine, pretty typical of the American news media right now. Dick Cheney critics react to his death, quote, rest in hell. And they go to Mehdi Hasan, a now former MS-13 DNC anchor boy who I think he was pulled off the air because of all of his anti-Israel, anti-Semitic rants, right? And isn't that great? And Newsweek went right to Mehdi Hasan. Progressive commentator Mehdi Hasan, you could call him that, wrote on X, he should have died in The Hague, tried for war crimes and all that good stuff, because Democrat Party, very, very angry party, not a well-adjusted party. And the Democrats at Newsweek magazine, not even pretending to be a news organization, Andrew Stanton writing the piece over there at Newsweek. Isn't that amazing? Hey, let's go to his critics. Dick Cheney died. Let's attack him. Great. Dick Cheney, former VP, dead at 84 years old. And and he's had all kinds of heart and health issues for many years now. 84 years old. He died, apparently it's pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease-related issues, according to the family. And the Democrats naturally attack because it's what they do. And again, if it's not that I look forward to Barack Obama's death, timely or untimely, whenever that might occur, but the idea that any mainstream media organization would would seize the moment. Let's take Bill Clinton. He's closer to Dick Cheney's wheelhouse and had open heart surgeries and all of that stuff. Hey, Bill Clinton died. His critics remain critical. I always like the critics remain critical thing, because that's what the news media does. Isn't that amazing? And womp, womp, womp. And PBS, I like this one in New York, the Panhandler Broadcasting System. The headline from Panhandler Broadcasting is, How a Mamdani Win Could Change New York City and the Democratic Party. And they're saying this glowingly, like this is wonderful. Yeah, this guy who is a jihadi Muslim who calls for global intifada, global war against the Jewish people, who is, and the commie ideas he has are almost impossible to believe. And now at our taxpayer expense, the people at the Panhandler Broadcasting System are how a Mamdani win, they're excited, could change New York City, yeah, not for the better, and the Democratic Party, not so much for the better there either, depending on what you think about all that. But isn't that amazing? More than 730,000 New Yorkers have already cast ballots ahead of Tuesday's mayoral election. It's a race with big stakes for the city and beyond. Democrat socialist Zohran Mamdani has vaulted from a relatively unknown state legislator seat to the front runner to lead the largest city in the country. Isn't that amazing? William Branham reports on what this potential victory means for New York and the Democratic Party. Now, we have a soundbite on this. I know that we have a soundbite on this because we've got this crazy jihadi lady who is not a friend of America or Western civilization or any of that stuff. And we've talked about her over the years because she's not a friend of America or Western civilization, as I said. Linda Sarsour is her name. And Linda Sarsour, a radical, I would say effectively a jihadi, she is proudly bragging that CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations, that they have been behind the Mamdani push all along, raising money for him. And they, she says, are responsible for his rise in the Democrat Party political ranks. Now, she's a radical. She's a chador-wearing Muslim extremist, and she posted a video of herself talking about how the organized CAIR, Council of American Islamic Relations, jihadi, that's soft jihad. I've been talking about them for 20 years as being source of soft jihad in the United States of America. And Linda Sarsour praising the Council on American Islamic Relations for their secret, behind-the-curtain support and promotion of Zohran Mamdani over the course of years, getting him to where he is, and this is just the beginning.
Right now, I'm a little more quiet because I'm on the quiet side of this race, but I'm going to tell you that once November 4th comes around, I will tell the story. The story is not just that it's random that Zohran ascended to this place. It is our Muslim American communities. And I'll also say that it's Muslim money. The PACs that have supported Zohran, or a particular PAC that has supported Zohran, is probably over 80% of Muslim American donors in this country. High net donors, grassroots donors. And I want to make the point that the Unity and Justice Fund PAC, which is the CAIR Super PAC, was the largest institutional donor to the pro-Zohran PAC in New York.
Yes, CAIR, the largest donor to the pro-Zohran, that's CAIR, who have been identified. They're the unindicted co-conspirators in the Holy Land Foundation trial years ago. They have been led by radicals and extremists, radical Islamists and extremists, and they're not on the side of the good guys. And Linda Sarsour out here in public saying, she's a famously anti-Semitic activist. They call her an activist, anti-Semitic activist. Linda Sarsour vows to hold Mamdani accountable on campaign promises to bring communism to New York City. Boasts Hamas-tied nonprofit fueled rise. This is the New York Post today, last night actually. And anti-Semitic activist Linda Sarsour vowed to make sure Zohran Mamdani doesn't backtrack on his radical campaign policies if he's elected mayor, and boasted that she and Hamas-linked nonprofit helped fuel his rise. Sarsour, a political mentor and close friend of the Silver Spoon socialist, denied she would work for a potential Mamdani administration, but promised she would still do whatever it takes to hold him accountable, boldly declaring that she won't let him, quote, do whatever the hell he wants when he gets to City Hall, and move into Gracie Mansion, and that's that. I just want you to know I'm not going to work for the Zohran administration. Uses his first name. He's the Zohran administration. Sarsour said in an Instagram live stream, which she posted, and Fox News got a hold of it first, I think, and the New York Post reporting on it now. Isn't that amazing? I'm not going to work in City Hall because guess what? There got to be people like me willing to stay outside, whatever that means. Okay. Our friends on the inside need people on the outside to hold them accountable. They're friendly people pushing them to be more radical, to say, we see you, we're paying attention, whatever that means. I got to tell you. Oh, you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the bust in Michigan of the jihadis that the FBI broke up. I talked about it yesterday. Since jihad is now everywhere in America and the Democrat Party, they're pushing for more jihad. The Democrat Party's not on the side of America. But the bust there of the radicals in radical Islamic jihadis, ISIS-inspired, they were going to carry out a Halloween attack. They had a whole bunch of firearms and lots of ammunition and their tactical vests and things. And it turns out that according to the more recent reporting, that they were planning on their targets were going to be LGBTQ. Got your LGBTQ. Because, the Democrat Party is fostering the jihad among us in the United States of America because we are bad and everybody else is good. It's all brown people are victims, and apparently Jews are not brown people, so they're victimizing everybody. And in the United States of America, too many white people here, so everybody that's not white enough for the left, for the commies, the socialists, the Democrat Party, then they are the victims, you see. And we have the latest update that it was an LGBTQ inspired, or it was ISIS inspired, but they planned on hitting LGBTQ targets, and they're not even transgender, as far as we know, anyway. Michigan terrorist suspects plotted Paris-style attack on bars, nightclubs, feds say, as photos show them taking target practice. The two Michigan men, and there were three others who I think are minors that are involved in this plot, they all share one thing in common. They're Islamists, and they want to kill everybody. The two Michigan men charged with supplying weapons for an ISIS-inspired terror attack had been scouting LGBTQ-friendly bars in a Detroit suburb and talked about copying the 2015 Paris onslaught that killed 130 people, according to the 72-page criminal complaint unsealed in federal court on Monday. The document names Muhammad Ali, not the boxer Muhammad Ali, not the heavyweight champion who was a lot of fun and the greatest boxer of all time, but never mind that. The document named Muhammad Ali and Majid Mahmoud, both 20 years old, from Dearborn, Michigan, as conspiring to unleash a mass shooting on Halloween night, a fiendish plot the suspects codenamed Pumpkin, according to prosecutors. Complaint also refers to 5 unidentified co-conspirators and a minor labeled Person 1. I know Person 1. Mike, do you know Person 1? Person 1, the latter of whom was allegedly assigned to carry out the attack along with Ali, Muhammad Ali, while the rest of the group made their way to join ISIS in Syria. Seems like a good idea. We should give them a plane ticket. They could go there and then, that'd be a short-lived joyride, I think. Wonderful. Investigators surveilled the men for weeks. The FBI nailed this one. even mounting a camera on a pole outside a Dearborn house and tracked their phone movements, eventually following them to Ferndale, north of the Motor City, that'd be Detroit, and known for its bars and restaurants, many of which intentionally attract members of the LGBTQ plus community, as opposed to accidentally attracting. They do it intentionally, which is, I think that makes them more guilty. They're attracting intentionally? Is that, I'm not sure what that means, but that's what it says. But for Ali and Mahmoud, you see, before that Ali and Mahmoud could execute their alleged terrorist scheme, authorities raided the men's homes and a nearby storage unit rented by Ali in the nearby town of Inkster. It's called Inkster. That's what they call it. It's a town in Michigan. I'd never heard of it before this. They found 3 AR-15 style rifles, 2 shotguns, which are shotgun-style long guns, 4 handguns, 1,600 plus rounds of ammunition, flash suppressors. That means like silencers, you'd call them in, Jason Bourne movies, silencers, and tactical vests. And so you got another, it was going to be an LGBTQ attack, and they had lots and lots of firearms and all that. The duo, the 2 men, Muhammad Ali and his buddy Mahmoud, made a brief appearance in federal court on Monday. Each are charged with a single count of transferring weapons and ammo for terrorism. They face up to 15 years in prison if convicted. That doesn't seem like, if you're planning a mass murder of 130 people and you got all the weapons and you're all geared up and ready to go, you're doing it in the name of jihad, 15 years doesn't sound like enough. Call me old-fashioned, but, I might be a little more stern than that. I'd bring on the nuns, I think. Boy, oh, boy. Yeah, so that's the update on that. And, of course, today is Election Day, and that means Democrats are gearing up to crawl through broken glass again to vote against Trump, even though Trump's not running. But TDS is very real. How to tell you. Wah, wah, wah. And it's funny because I saw that Democrats were saying that they're willing to crawl through broken glass on this Tuesday, this November 4th, Election Day, to vote against Trump. And I'm like, well, Trump is not running. Yeah, but if anybody's pro-Trump, I'll crawl through broken glass to vote against the person who's like Trump or a Republican or whatever, because they're mentally ill. And so I went to look for that story, and I found another one from October of 2024, because the phrase came up in 2024. The Democrats said that they were willing to crawl through broken glass to vote against Trump when Trump was actually on the ballot, because they're mentally unwell. Very, very unwell. All right, let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Dave, calling from Silver Spring, Maryland. Dave, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Dave.
Since Cheney died, I just wanted to maybe give a little perspective here, at least from my point of view.
Uh-huh.
I hate to have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Uh-huh.
Nobody wants to see anybody die. If you do, there's something wrong with you. I'm not happy that Cheney has died. I'm not a fan of Cheney's, but I'm not going to be happy when Hillary and Pelosi, who are probably the 2 most evil human beings on the planet, when they die. I just want them to go away.
Uh-huh.
But I think the issue with Cheney is that Cheney and the Bushes is they profess to be pro-America, put America first, love America. And when a guy came along, Trump, who actually does that, they eviscerated him. And it says to me that was all about power. They were simply using that as their cloak. They should have, when someone on your team hits a home run or gets a touchdown, you don't say, oh, that jerk, what's he doing out there? Yeah. You go, hey, great, this is one for us. This is one for the good guys. And the fact that they went out of their way to attack him and prosecute him, persecute him,
yeah.
and one of their big supporters was Bill Kristol, who's now sucking the toes of morons on dummy, tells you all you need to know about that entire crew.
Well, you speak for a lot of people. I know you do, and I've spoken to a couple of people in text threads today about Dick Cheney. No big fan of Dick Cheney, a Marine Corps family, combat, heavily experienced combat family, and not everybody's a fan of Dick Cheney. And there's plenty of reason to to raise questions about him and the war in Iraq, obviously in particular, and weapons of mass destruction and all that good stuff. But you're right, and you're right that it's and you can debate. They say they're on Team America, and then were they really? Did they serve the interests of Team America in the long term? And that will be debated for quite some time to come, no doubt. And you're right that Dick Cheney, in particular, since he's the one that died yesterday, he was very critical. That's generous, very harsh in his the way that he spoke about Donald Trump and beyond. And he was a hard as nails guy, but he was very, very critical of Trump. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about that. And that's not going to sit well with a whole lot of Republican voters today, conservatives today. This politics business is an awful business, isn't it? Just terrible. That's why nobody in their right mind runs for these posts, for these offices. Would you want to be president of the United States? Huh? I'd rather work on a golf course. Also, the people at Newsweek, they're working overtime today. This is the next headline from this morning, Newsweek magazine. What Dick Cheney said about Donald Trump. Wait a minute, Dick Cheney died. We can turn this into an attack piece on Donald Trump. Wow, that's a 2-for-1. Kate Plummer, on behalf of the Democrat Party at Newsweek magazine. Just amazing. Dick Cheney became a vocal critic of President Donald Trump in the years leading up to his death on November 3rd. That was yesterday. And wait a minute, Cheney was critical of Trump. At Newsweek, they're critical of Trump. They can join forces with Dick Cheney post-mortem, which they never did in life, but they can use Dick Cheney to attack Donald Trump. That's our news media. Award-winning journalism. Cheney, former Vice President George W. Bush and influential figure in Republican politics, called Trump a threat and a coward in numerous statements and interviews over the past decade. They gathered them all up at Newsweek magazine. They got their finger on the pulse of the American people, don't they? Hee-yah!